Hi, finance people. Hi, how is everyone? Hope you're all healthy, safe, and sane. It's certainly been a trying week, and here we go again for another week. Um, Wanted to go through the last couple assignments with you, car shopping and the apartment lease agreement. Talk about some problem areas or things that were common mistakes. So if you've looked at your assignment and your results, you can maybe better understand why you got something wrong. So, starting with the car shopping assignment, I like that a lot of you didn't go out and buy all brand new vehicles. Um, I hope that's the actual case of what you would do in the real world, uh, taking the time of determining what you can actually afford. I know in this assignment, every single car you had to take out a loan for, and some of those cars, some of you, bought certainly wouldn't need to take a loan out for because they were $2,000 or $3,000 cars. But um, the purpose of it was to get you to understand potentially what you'd be paying each month if you had to borrow money to get a car. And hopefully, most of you realize it's probably not worth making a monthly payment just to have a car. But we'll talk about that later. Um, as far as the car shopping, where there were some common mistakes, a lot of it was in the calculating the monthly loan payment. Um, for some of you, you had you found the vehicle cost, and then maybe you just used something that was on that specific website as a way of calculating the monthly payment, and you thought that was good. It wasn't good. Um, some of you didn't see that you had to do a 10% down payment for every single car. Um, some of you chose not to do a down payment at all. No, we were always doing 10% of the vehicle cost as the down payment. So there was that mistake. Some of you, you had the right vehicle cost, you had the right down payment, you did 10%, you subtracted that to figure out your loan amount. So you did all that right, but then when you calculated the monthly loan payment from the financial calculator, some of you I figured out the mistake, some of you I still have no clue where you made the mistake. So, for some of you, maybe you can go back and see if you had the monthly loan payment wrong and try to figure out what happened to explain to me, but I got nothing. For some of you, for the monthly loan payment, you made the mistake where it was number of payments. You had it left at 360 instead of changing it to 36 payments. 360 payments meant that you had a 30-year car loan, which the max is 6 years. So 30 is no bueno, not good. Some of you use the vehicle cost as your loan amount, which wouldn't make sense because you are first giving them 10% of what the car is worth as a down payment. So that means you're giving them money. You've already made a payment towards the car. So you don't have to borrow the vehicle cost amount. That's where you subtract the cost and the down payment together, and what's left over is your loan amount. So again, for some of you, I had those figured out, but for others, I don't know if you did a different interest rate, if you changed the payment frequency, I don't know. I got nothing. So double check where you might have made a mistake, and let me know, if I didn't figure it out for you. As far as the reflection questions, the fourth question of how do you lower your monthly payments, some of you figured out that, yep, we could find a cheaper car. Well, yep, that would make your monthly payments lower. But you would also want to look at having a larger down payment. So 10% is kind of the minimum. So maybe doing more. Some of you figured that out. Some of you said make it a longer loan. Yep, you could do that. You could go from a 3-year loan to a 4, 5, or 6-year loan. That could work. That would make your monthly payments lower, but over time you end up paying more when you extend the loan out. So still an option. Otherwise, a couple of you figured out of shopping around, going to different banks to finding a lower interest rate. Um, you don't have to settle on 6%. If that's your bank's car loan rate, you could go shopping and find a better bank that has a lower rate. So that's another option you could do to lower your monthly payments. Question 3, what could you potentially do with the money if you didn't have monthly payments? That I just wanted you to figure out what's your priorities. Some of you are really into cars, which is good for you. For me, I just needed to get me from point A to point B. I don't care what it looks like or what it has in it. For others of you, it has to look good, and so you're willing to pay more. That's you. But if you didn't have to pay, for some of you, you had average monthly payments of $800 a month, $900 a month. I mean, that's a lot of money just for a car. And so hopefully thinking about, well, geez, I could use that $800 a month to invest or save or go on vacations. That's kind of the point, is that we want to hopefully avoid borrowing money to get a car. It's a car. If you save up for it and you get that beautiful looking car, good for you. Otherwise, find something within your means that can get you from home to work or your road trips. But as much as possible, avoid borrowing money to buy a car. Use that money for something else. So if you have questions on the car shopping, let me know. Other than that, overall, that went well. The other assignment was the apartment lease. For that was just to give you an idea of what an actual lease looks like and sounds like. Some of you made the comment of it was super hard to read. Yep. A lease is a legal binding contract. Sometimes it's written up by lawyers who speak bigger words than us. So I get it if it was difficult to read. So a takeaway, and some of you actually said it, was that you would bring someone with you to look through a lease agreement before you sign it. That's smart. If you don't know the wording and what's in there, you don't want to sign it. So as far as like the questions you had to answer, there are some struggles with the fees that go with rent. That was listed underneath the rent section, number 1. You had a late payment of $10 and then $1 each day it was late, plus a $25 fee if your check bounced or if you didn't have enough money in your account to pay your rent. There was that fee. Other questions that were a struggle, the maintenance. Some of you said that the renter or the lessee had to take care of all the maintenance. No. They certainly had to maintain some things within the apartment, like changing light bulbs, batteries, cleaning, those sort of things. But they're also responsible for taking care of outside of the apartment, like if they have a deck or patio. If ice is on the patio, it's the renter's responsibility to clear the ice. But like if the dishwasher breaks or the water heater goes out, that's not the renter's obligation to work on it. So it wasn't all the maintenance. Subletting. I could tell most of you had to Google what subletting was. But that's just to get you to understand that every once in a while, you, the renter, might sublet or rent the apartment out to someone else. Some of you might run into the situation of, maybe not now with COVID-19, but you're in college and you get the opportunity to study abroad for a couple months. And you're going to come back and you're going to still have your apartment, but you don't want to pay the rent while you're in Germany for 3 months. So subletting would give you that opportunity to rent it out to someone else that so that they pay the rent instead of you. Um, According to this lease agreement, you could do that if you've got approval by the renter or the lessor. So, um, again, as far as the questions, for the most part, most of you found those pretty easy to find. Some of you answer the questions by, again, like Googling what a generic answer would be um, instead of answering the question specifically to the lease that was provided to you. So some of you lost points there. Um, I'm sure you didn't read all of the sections of the lease, um, but this is certainly it's actually a good lease. If you were going to be renting an apartment, you would want it to look very similar to this. Yep, this one was 9 pages long. That's pretty reasonable considering all the different parts um, involved with renting a place. If it's a 1-page lease, I would be sketchy about that. Very sketchy. So, just some additional tips as far as renting and before signing a lease. There was a section on the move-in policy. Before you sign the lease, do a walkthrough with the landlord. Take pictures of anything that's damaged or scraped up. Document that you took these pictures. Let them know you took the pictures. They should be pointing out damages already. Sometimes they don't. So take pictures, document those dates so that, just in case they try to say, oh, well, you did those damages, you could say, no. Here's the pictures, here's the date. This was before I even moved in. So that's a smart move. Moving out. It's not in this particular lease, but a good tip would be to ask for the cleaning list charges. So what the landlord's going to charge to clean the place after you move out. If you can find out what they charge, you can do some of those things yourself and probably save some money. So like if they charge $150 to clean the carpets after you move out, go rent a carpet cleaner for $50 and save yourself $100. If they're going to charge $50 to clean the stove, go get a $5 oven spray, oven cleaner, and do it yourself. Save some money. The last thing, and this is more of a personal story, and it deals with getting out of your lease. So my wife and I, when our last apartment we rented, we had like a couple months left on our lease. We found a home that we were going to buy, and so we told the landlord, hey, we're going to be actually moving out early, about a month early. And so just want to let you know that you can start showing the place. We'll, of course, continue to pay our rent for the full lease term. And they're like, cool, good for you. You found a house. That's awesome. So a few months after we had moved out, called the landlord up and said, hey, when can we expect to get our security deposit back? And he goes, well, you won't. And said, why not? And he said, because you didn't notify us in writing that you were moving out. You just called us. And so, sure enough, when we looked back at the lease agreement, it said must notify in writing. So, there's a good thing and a bad thing about a lease being a legal contract. It binds you, the renter, and it binds the landlord to those terms. So in our case, we messed up. We didn't put it in writing that we were moving out, so we were out $900 for a security deposit. Now, in this particular lease, you had to look at if the landlord was supposed to return your security deposit within 30 days and they don't, you now have that legal binding contract saying, well, they were supposed to return it within 30 days and they didn't. So that could get you, the potential of getting all of your security deposit back because they didn't abide by the contract. So um, hopefully it was enlightening to look at an apartment lease. Again, if there's questions about it, let me know. Otherwise, be looking forward to some more videos from me with your future assignments. So stay safe.